All right, let's go, because you know what I came in to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
Says here that Showtime and Al Heyman have blocked Mike Coppinger from covering the fight. So he's going to be watching it on pay-per-view. The reason for the blocking was not immediately clear. Mike, he declined to comment on the story. A source with knowledge of ESPN said the network went deep to the mat to try get the PBC to reverse its decision, but its efforts were unsuccessful. The source added that Stephen A. Smith will be contributing coverage from the fight. This is not the first time there has been a controversy involving an ESPN talent and boxing credentialing. In 2015, the ESPN host Michael Beadle and then CNN host Rachel Nichols did not receive credentials for a Floyd Mayweather fight, though Beadle was apparently credentialed after she had already headed home. Well, looks like Mike's pissed someone off.
Let's see what's gonna happen. What's gonna...
Errol Spence Jr., same question. Over 1 million people are gonna buy this fight. Over 20,000 are gonna come to this arena. What can you guarantee the boxing public they're gonna get when you step in the ring with Terrence Bud Crawford?
You a
they don't get legendary stuff.
You a
See,
you a
Let Errol.
you a because you keep
too
talking like
emotional.
a,
Too
you
emotional,
doing all that
man.
talking.
That's how
You
we
doing
gonna
all
get
that
'em.
talking. Oh, whole ass.
You catch me,
niggas
gotta
always
come back.
talking.
Catch me, I come back.
Real don't talk, and you talking too much.
Well, like I said, this
you want
fight,
some attention,
this
female.
right here, this is gonna be legendary. Right
Oh,
here.
female ass.
Make
Some
sure y'all
attention.
tune in. This is a legendary old school fight.
Get out some attention. Put the camera on him, because that's what he doing. Showing out like a female.
Let him finish, Bud. Go ahead, EJ.
Yeah, all right. See where that
Y'all
gets.
done? Y'all done?
Ain't no more hiding. You can't hide no more, Derek.
Hide.
We'll find out who the best
Hey man,
man
listen.
is.
Only thing been
I
hiding is
respect
those
you for
Big
what
Mac,
you've done in the game,
Cheetos.
but you ain't never went up against me or my
Listen,
staff.
that's the only thing been
So
hiding.
you remember something?
What? Tell me what I gotta remember.
We've been here before.
So you say
You trying to get
no,
there.
No. You
All right?
Wait.
I can tell you how it is to be undisputed.
Wait. You can tell.
You can't tell me.
Listen, you the only.
Sit back and watch this.
Wait, is Jermall Charlo on?
Sit back and watch this. I promise you something.
Hey, listen.
I promise you something.
Listen. Hey man, listen, man. They gotta make a new weight for you. Super heavyweight. What the you talking about? We know
All that you talking don't mean nothing.
It don't mean nothing.
I can bump my guns at you, you can bump your guns
That's
at me,
right,
but
but
at
you
the end
bumping,
of the
but
day,
you bumping.
them two brothers got to get in the ring.
That's right.
All right, then. So shut the up.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
This
Yes,
is going to
ma'am.
be one heck of a fight.
Yes, ma'am. I will.
Now, let's get to the fighter.
Look, mama.
It's going down. Hey, I don't know what that thug was up to, man, but a lot happening. Blue Blood reckons that Bud missed the initial weight. What's he saying? Because sometimes there's a rehearsal weighing. Is he saying that Bud didn't turn up to the rehearsal weighing, or he missed the weight at the rehearsal weighing? What's going on? The official weighing hasn't happened, so. But let's just take it from 1962. Emil Griffiths in a hot-tempered, anticipated matchup against champion Benny Paret. Benny questioned Emil Griffiths' manhood, called him a homosexual. Griffiths went on to stop Paret in the 12th round. Griffiths, not known as a heavy puncher, more a volume accumulation pugilist. He did take a count in round 6, but he stopped his man with unanswered punches as his opponent's body laid limply on the rope just below the top rope. Benny Paret never regained consciousness and died. Emil Griffiths became champion. Under what circumstances he gave up the belt without losing it in the ring? The vacant title was won by Curtis Coates against Manuel Gonzalez. Now, when Griffiths had the belt and when Curtis Coates had the belt, sometimes the WBC strap was on the line, or sometimes the WBA, sometimes both straps. But what never happened up until Jose Napoles lost the belt to John H. Stracey is you rarely saw, if ever, I'm not sure if I'm 100%, but you rarely saw one guy had the WBC belt and one guy had the WBA. So it was easy to keep track of the lineage of the belt and who was undisputed, even if both belts went on the line for that fight. Now, Curtis Coates He lost the belt to Jose Napoles, late round stoppage. Napoles was a long-term champion who defended the belt with regularity until 75 when he was beaten by Britain's John H. Stracey. Now things start to change. Angel Espada, he won the vacant WBA belt. Napoles lost the WBC strap to John H. Stracey. Espada loses to Pepino Cuevas, very hard puncher who defends multiple times, mostly by KO. Very exciting fighter. If he was around today, he'd make a fortune, an absolute fortune. But while Espada has the belt, Carlos Palomino, he has the belt. He knocks out John H. Stracey at the Empire Pool, Wembley. Now, we have two people. Carlos Palomino had the WBC strap from 76 to 78. And Pepino Cuevas, he had the WBA strap. They don't unify. Cuevas loses his belt spectacularly to Thomas Hearns. The Hearns fight takes place in 1980. Palomino loses the belt to the young, precocious protege Wilfred Benitez, who won his first world title at the age of 17 in 1976 at light welterweight against Antonio Cervantes. What was he now? 20 years of age or so. Two-time world champion beats Carlos Palomino. Absolutely outstanding. So now, Benitez and Hearns both have the belts. Benitez and Hearns do fight, but that's way later on in the day at light middleweight in 1982. Benitez, however, in probably the most lucrative welterweight fight till that date, loses the title to Sugar Ray Leonard in 1979. This fight here, you want to hear Mike Tyson talk about this fight. This fight here inspired Frank Bruno. This fight here, Ali is firmly on the slide at this time, and Ray Leonard is pushing through as that guy. Leonard stops him in the 15th round of an absolute classic. In a huge upset, Roberto Duran takes the belt from Sugar Ray Leonard on the 20th of June 1980 in Montreal, Canada. Now, Duran had a reputation of blowing up between fights, partying, and doing a lot of his dough. There was a rematch clause in play. Team Leonard moved to get the rematch done in November. Probably wasn't ideal for Duran. What was he going to do? You know, if you don't fight Sugar Ray Leonard, you can't make money like that anywhere in boxing at this time. Nowhere. Leonard is the cash cow. Duran quits in the 8th round, claiming stomach cramps. The fight is famously known as the No Mas Surrender. He gets back the belt. Leonard then fights Larry Bonds. Now, this fight isn't talked about a lot, but it's a lot tougher fight than you may think. Tough fight. Larry Bonds, with his size and defensive skills, gave Leonard some issues. It was a good fight. It was a good fight. And then we have the first belt unification at welter. Now, this isn't the first sanctioning body unification. You know, I don't know about the rest of the weight classes. I just haven't did that kind of research. But Ali, he was stripped of the WBA belt after he beat Liston for the second time around 1964. Ernie Terrell won the vacant strap. Ernie was controlled by the Chicago mob. So you have to wonder why they stripped Ali of the belt. They said there was some rule about a deposed champion, Sonny Liston, couldn't get an immediate rematch. That's why he was stripped. It was some crappy reason why they stripped Ali for the belt. But Ali got it back in 1967 from Terrell, and then the government took Ali's license shortly after. Not funny at all, actually. And in 1970, Joe Frazier unified the titles. He had the New York State Athletic Commission title. Jimmy Ellis had the WBA strap, and the WBC strap that Ali had that laid vacant for 3 years while he was out of the game. They were all in play when Joe became undisputed champion. So they were unifications of sanctioning belts. But we're dealing with the welterweight division. And Sugar Ray Leonard for Thomas Hearns, it gets no bigger. It gets no bigger than this. The year is 1981. Fight of the Year, Ring Magazine, Caesars Palace Outdoor Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada, US of A. Now, I remember seeing Sugar Ray Leonard fight before Thomas Hearns. And when you see the shoe shine combinations, it's like you don't have to understand anything about boxing to be impressed by it. Like, my cousin wasn't a boxing fan like that. But when Sugar Ray Leonard fought Kevin Howard, this is after the unification fight between Hearns and Leonard, He was sitting down watching the fight, and Leonard threw that shoe shine combination, and my cousin just went, Jesus, like that. And you're like, yeah. And then I remember when I saw Thomas Hearns, and I said, damn, he's just as fast as Ray, but in a different way, with single shots and 1-2s. Like, the right cross was like a whip, and it even made the sound of a whip when it landed. It discombobulated the commentators when it landed. You watch when he hits Cuevas with that right hand. You don't see a boxer's leg do that. You just don't see it. And the way he put Duran out as well, it's frightening. I was trying to find a soundbite for the British feed when he landed the final right hand, and all you hear is Jim Rosenthal, whoo, Thomas Hearns a right hand. You just don't forget shit like that. You just can't forget boxing of that quality. And Leonard, his eye was swollen up. The fight looked like it was lost. I watched this fight the other month.
You got 9 minutes. You're blowing it now, son. You're blowing it.
Ray said his eye was like a slit. He had no peripheral vision. Dundee kept saying, you're blowing it, son. You're blowing it. We've got to separate the men from the boys. Now we're in the championship rounds. There's 3 to go. 12th round, 3 to go. Ray's punch output to the body and the head and the quality of some of the single shots and the combination. His hands were just like a blur, just an absolute blur. And he beat the fight out of Tommy. 14th round stoppage. Ray made more than $10 million for that fight. $10 million. And this is 42 years ago. So you got to do the math on what the inflation would make that purse today. Tommy earned $5.1 million. Ray was the quintessential A-side fighter. Before Floyd or Oscar popularized that term, if Ray said, yo, the fight takes place on my balcony, that's where it is. There's no negotiation. There's no back and forth. There's no nothing. There's no nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah, okay, Ray, no problem. There's no argument. There's no negotiation. You talk to Mike Trainer, his lawyer, and he'll give you the instructions of what to do next. That's that. No negotiations at all. Go ask Bob Barum about it. Ray had issues with his retina after the Larry Bonds fight, and you saw the state of his eye against Hearns. He retired after this, came back in 84 to fight Kevin Howard. Retired after that. He got floored in that fight, but he got back up to win and came back in 87 to defeat Marvin Hagler for the middleweight title. So Don Curry won the vacant title, WBC title, against a Korean fighter named Jun Suk Hwang. Hwang actually floored Curry, but Curry got back up and won a UD. Now Don Curry is no joke. He's already beaten the likes of Marlon Starling before becoming WBC champion. Roger Stafford is stopped in a round. Marlon Starling is outpointed again, this time more convincingly than the first. Elio Diaz is taken out inside the distance. The European champion, Nilo LaRocca, he's beaten. That's in Monaco. He appears, it says the Resorts World Arena here. I thought it was the Birmingham NEC. I could be mistaken. Against Colin Jones in 1985. Colin Jones, a very hard puncher. The Welshman had a draw with Milton McCrory and another controversial decision loss to McCrory. These are 15 rounders, and he's taking on Don Curry. And I watched this fight with my dad. January. This is 1985. And Don Curry from Texas, just like Errol Spence, he was kind of like a gunslinger. He was a counterpuncher who stood right in front of you and just dared you to throw punches while reconstructing your face. Now, my dad, former amateur boxer, wasn't a man who was impressed with anything. He was impressed with Don Curry. Like the tight guard and the counters. He was just so impressed with Don Curry. Curry had the strap for, must be going on 4 years. Milton McCrory, his rival from the Kronk Gym, he won the vacant belt against Colin Jones, as I mentioned, on a split decision. The first fight they had was a draw for the same belt. Now, I haven't got the magazines to hand, but I do remember a lot of talk about when are we going to get the unification. And from what I remember, it seemed to me like Manny Stewart was trying to get Milton a little more seasoned to take on Don Curry. Milton, similar dimensions to Tommy Hearns, very tall, long reach, made 4 defenses of that belt before he took the plunge. Now, the IBF came along in 1983. Don Curry was given the IBF strap. When McCrory does take on Donald Curry, 3 straps are on the line. Now, the first man to win 3 straps is Marvelous Marvin Hagler. He beat Sipien for that IBF strap. His other 2 straps weren't on the line, and he became a free belt undisputed champion, as did Donald Curry with his spectacular performance against Milton McCrory. Near the end of the first round, McCrory was hurt by a big right hand. Milton, a good fighter in his own right, he tried to keep it behind that jab, but Curry didn't really do the head movement thing. He just anticipated your shots and just beat you to them and just beat you down. Halfway through the second round, Curry threw this left hook. It was a left hook on the same level as Sugar Ray Robinson's when he knocked out Gene Fullmer. Only McCrory got back up somehow. Milton got back up. This left hook was so perfect. And then the finish, Donald Curry just walked over and threw this overhand right and just sparked him out. It was ruthless. One of the best boxing performances I've ever seen. And I remember reading the magazine, one of the American publications, and they said it was nearly a flawless performance apart from a slight stumble from Curry when he lost his footing. Nothing to do with McCrory punching him or nothing, but a slight stumble stopped it from being the perfect performance, because it was art. It was art. The way Don Curry countered punches, it was just pure art, and he became undisputed champion. The next undisputed fight is 2003, Corey Spinks versus Ricardo Mayorga. Mayorga won a unification against Vernon Forrest, who took that WBC strap from Shane Mosley, the big upset 2 fights. And Corey had that IBF strap that he took from the Italian in Italy on points. Corey outpoints Ricardo Mayorga. Corey is the son of former heavyweight champion Leon Spinks, RIP, for those that didn't know. This was around the time you would or could be considered undisputed without the WBO belt. This was still that time. So some might not even consider that an undisputed win. It was a good fight. It went under the radar. Corey used his upper body movement, the tricky southpaw. Mayorga never really came to terms with how to cut the ring off. But he had his moments, and he banged his chest, come stand and fight, and he swung away. It was entertaining. Corey was underrated. And now we're on the cusp in the 4-belt era. Undisputed welterweight title fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. And, Terence Crawford for the win is my prediction. Points, knockout, stoppage, whatever it takes. I believe this happened after the weigh-in, and there's video footage of it. The video is like crystal clear, where Caleb Plant slaps Jermall Charlo in his mouth, and it's a hard box.
Did you ever grab me by my motherfucking face like that, boys?
Damn.
A really hard box, and Caleb looked like he wanted to put hands on him. The security guard got between them, and Jermall didn't look ready for it. He didn't look ready to either block or slip the slap or retaliate. And Caleb looked up for it. But Jermall looks a bit heavy these days. He's on psychedelics. His head isn't in the right place, so who knows what's going on. Like, when they got outside the compound or wherever they was in the car park, it looked like Jermall was looking for him to fight, but come on, man.
Did you ever grab me by my motherfucking face like that, boys?
It looks like Jermall initiated it, because Caleb is saying, "Don't you ever something around my motherfucking face again, boy." And it looks like he's retaliating, and he's mad, he's angry. Jermall was looking for him in the car park outside, running after him. The video's on Fight Hype. But after he took the slap, he didn't look very aggressive, like he wanted to steam in there, to be honest. The security guard was in between them, but he didn't look, and he wasn't like, barking. Like, that's when the adrenaline should be up, when the slap is fresh to his face. I don't know, Caleb. I don't know. All this black on black violence.